Okay, hi everybody. So basically, we have explained to you what is a project. Okay, so project is actually defined in certain ways, and all engineers are actually dealing with project in their career lifespan. And then if you combine, if you apply the management tools, techniques, and the idea and concept of management, the techniques of management into a project and manage a project properly from the beginning to the end, you are in fact doing project management. So the management control cycle applying into a project is called project management. So it's a marriage between project and management. Okay, so that's why we have our topic here, project management, or our course here is called project management. In many places it can be called civil engineering project management, it can be called engineering management, it can be called project management, but very specifically for civil engineering we are dealing with not general engineering management but project management. Okay, so now that you've understand this bit, okay, let's move on and talk about project life cycle. Okay, before we continue, the small assignment for today will be actually list down the major component of the project life cycle. Okay, so project life cycle is dealing with, okay, the life cycle of a project, meaning that from its birth to its ending. So every project will start from a birth. Okay, a birth meaning that like how a baby comes out from the mother's stomach and all the way to your death. Okay, so basically a human has a life cycle, many things has a life cycle, even insects have a life cycle, so project will also have a life cycle. Okay, so project life cycle is development, is a whole development of a project from its original idea to its completion. Okay, so we're going to go through each and every one of these stages in the project life cycle. And this, because of the word cycle, many people are actually confused with management control cycle. Basically, they all move in a circle, okay? But unfortunately, life cycle actually will end up with its ending, and then it's the beginning of a new cycle. Okay, so project management, the management life cycle basically will end up going back to the first stage about planning for objectives and planning for new ideas. It's a circle. Okay, so there is a little bit of difference here, even though we call it cycle. Okay, but these are all wording, so I'm not too concerned about it really. But then I know many of the ex-students that I have, they have this problem, so I do not want to see the repetition of this in every year, in every exams. It just gets really totally annoying in that sense. So that's why I want to explain it better that way lah. Okay, so actually project life cycle also, it also belongs to that management cycle, because in the beginning you have to define the project, and then after that you need to plan and organize, and then you need to execute it, and then do controlling and closing up. Actually there is an overlap, meaning that management control cycle, those activities that you do, actually the whole life cycle is like a overlap. Okay, the life cycle also moves through this management control cycle. Many years ago I wrote a paper on this parallelism, but I do not want you all to be confused. Project life cycle is about the different stages that the project have to go through. Okay, and whereas management control cycle is basically the activities of management that will have to be repeated many times, again and again, into the project and into different components of the project. I hope that you guys get the idea correct, and never get it confused. Okay, so I repeat again. Okay, project life cycle is basically a life cycle of a project. Is about being born to the death of a project. But because project life cycle also deals with planning, it also deals with execution, like construction is the execution, and then death is the closing. So basically management control cycle and project life cycle, the activity are actually overlapping. You can apply management control cycle it can overlap onto project life cycle, okay, but it is two different things. But what is management control cycle? Management control cycles are the different activities, the different activities in management that needs to be carried out, okay, and be applied onto the different parts of the project. It can be the time, it can be the cost, it can be the quality, it can be risk, it can be anything in a project. But you're going through that cycle, of managing that particular component. But overall, you're managing the entire project with those techniques. That particular circle is like all the different techniques on it. The 5 different techniques on it. Okay, so yeah, this is the parallelism between project life cycle. This picture here is a parallelism between the project life cycle and management control cycle, but they are two different things. Okay, right. Let's not go any more into that. Okay, so for every civil engineering project, there is always a definition stage. There's always an idea, like where you come from. So it can be needs, it can be demands. Human needs are very specific. It's for food, it's for transportation, it's for water, okay, it's for living. Okay, so these needs are something that must be there for a human being to continuously survive and reproduce. Okay, so these are needs. Demands are desires. It's well above needs. When you have a lot of things that you've already been fulfilled, maybe you want a better lifestyle, okay, you want a better house, you want a better car, you want to have a better way of living. So those are demands. You want to have more enjoyment, you want to go for movies, so these are demands. That one is elevating human nature up to the next level. So original ideas, every project, there will always be an initiation. Your client will either have a need or a demand. Mostly the most common demand will be public demand, like for water, treatment plants, sewage plant, dams, reservoir, electricities, transport, like highway, road, river transportation, etc. Educations and all that. These are all very basic demands. Basic needs. I cannot call it demands, but it's usually stemming from the public. Okay, for lives, for the essential bit of life. Okay, then you have market demand and individual demands or individual needs. Okay, so individual needs and demands, these are market demands, meaning that you build maybe factories to produce some things that people want, water bottle, cars, furniture, these are all, you don't die, you wouldn't die if you have to go without it. You don't have to die if you don't have entertainment center, but then it is demands. You see, malls, cinemas, entertainment centers, manufacturing factories, showrooms, condominium houses and all that. These are all individual demands, okay, or it can be individual needs, and that becomes a public needs. Okay, so the needs and demand represents the birth of a project. Okay, so are we clear on that? Okay, so before I go into the next stage, we will this is stage 1. Okay, so the answer, stage 1, needs and demands. Okay.